As Jason said, my name is Kira Fish, and I was the Knapp Fellow in Animal Conservation this summer at SeaWorld Orlando. This was honestly such a dream come true because I've always known that I wanted to work with animals, and I've wanted to work at SeaWorld specifically since I was about 7 years old. A little bit about SeaWorld. They have 3 branches across the United States, one in Orlando, one in San Diego, and one in San Antonio. When they first opened in 1959, they were really an institution that focused entirely on entertainment. So their animals and their parks were a source of entertainment. But in the last 50 years, as the animal conservation world has evolved, SeaWorld has evolved to match that and changed their mission so that now so many of their efforts and their funds are focused on conservation and education. Because of that, they implemented a program called Sea Rescue, with which they have, over the past 50 years, rescued over 28,000 animals, which is just a mind-blowing number. Before I really get into the meat of the presentation, I kind of wanted to address the obvious. There's a lot of controversy out there about SeaWorld, which I'm sure all of you have heard about, which began with the 2012 movie Blackfish. I understand where these people are coming from who hate SeaWorld and institutions like it because it's a valid argument. But I think that this hatred comes from a fundamental misunderstanding of exactly how fundamental these institutions are in animal conservation and welfare. I first went to SeaWorld when I was 8 years old. That's me and my little brothers on the whale. And little did I know, 10 years later, I was going to be working at the very same institution. And I think SeaWorld is so important because they provide so much education and inspiration for people that would otherwise not be able to see these animals or have access to this kind of information. So my goals using this fellowship were really to start and jumpstart my career. So I've known that I wanted to work in marine conservation for quite a long time, and SeaWorld has such a huge name recognition that it's a great place to start. I wanted to, of course, learn more about the creatures that I want to work with and make professional connections in my field because when you really get down to it, the marine conservation field is extremely small, and any professional connections that I can make, whether that's in training or education or research, is extremely valuable. I also wanted to check out SeaWorld specifically because there's a lot of institutions and research areas across the world that I could choose to work at to complete my goal of marine conservation. But I wanted to really experience SeaWorld itself and see if it was a place that I could see myself forming a career. Onto the actual internship at SeaWorld, I was a camp counselor. So the main goal and main scope of my internship was to care, educate, and inspire these children. Each week we'd have 24 kids come into camp. I worked with ages all the way from 4 through 14. And what's really special about SeaWorld Camp is these face-to-face interactions that you get with these animals of all different species on a regular basis. There's hundreds of camps across the US where parents drop off their kids, they play some games, have fun, maybe do a craft or two, and then go home. But SeaWorld Camp is so special because you get these face-to-face interactions all the time. Both of these pictures are of me with my classes in front of the dolphins and the killer whales. And that picture up there is probably my favorite moment of the whole summer, and I feel so lucky to have a picture of it. It began with me sitting with 24 kiddos in front of the glass of an empty pool. No one was there, and I was talking about killer whale adaptations and the different threats that they face in the wild. And luckily, Tilikum, our largest killer whale, swam right up to the glass. He is 12,000 pounds and 35 feet long, and this picture really does nothing to capture just how enormous he is, especially when you're a small 8-year-old looking up and just seeing this huge creature is really mind-blowing. And to really be able to talk about killer whale adaptations and why they're so important in our oceans with an in-the-flesh version right behind you is an educator's dream. And that's something that makes SeaWorld so special, and all zoological institutions across the world so special, is that they provide the opportunity for these face-to-face interactions that otherwise wouldn't be possible. Clearly, this internship impacted me in many ways. I made some professional connections. Up at the top is a picture of me with a killer whale trainer named Brooke, who I got to know throughout the summer, and it was really awesome to be able to hear firsthand, like from her, in her own words, what it was like to train killer whales at SeaWorld. Of course, I got childhood education experience, which is valuable in any field, I think, because you always want to be able to translate the message of your field to the next generation, whatever that may be. Future career advice from adults who have participated in training like Brooke, or education like the staff that I worked with every day, or even in research. Lots of experience public speaking. Oftentimes I'd be on mic in groups of 50 or more people. And as I mentioned before, huge name recognition. In the animal care world, SeaWorld is a very well-known institution, and having that on my resume is really beneficial. I would say that probably the most positive impact that this had was really widening my career options as well. Because when I first started the internship, I was thinking mostly about, okay, I'm going to get out of college and then I'm going to train dolphins. That was the goal. And really having all of this insight from so many people who did marine conservation in so many different ways helped me realize that I could also take that further. So I've got a couple pictures up here of how different ways that marine conservation is tackled. So we have SeaWorld education and training with that trainer up there with Katina in the upper right. And then Sea Rescue, where they rescue these animals on a daily basis and help save, as I said, over 28,000. There's also field researching teams who will go out and tag killer whales or any species and track migration patterns and things like that. And recently I've become really interested in conservation paleobiology, using the paleo record to see what ancient systems could withstand and how our climate affects them. So this really opened up my eyes to how many opportunities there are in this field of marine conservation. Overall, it was just an awesome summer, one of the best summers of my life for sure. And furthermore, rather than just experiencing this field, I really got to experience living on my own, because I was thrown into Orlando, of all places, with no car, no one that I knew, and had to just figure out how to navigate this new city. And I feel so much more prepared to be able to go into my career, having already figured out all of those life things, and now I can focus more just on refining my skills and my career. I want to give a huge thank you to the Cornell Fellows Program and everyone who helped me through this an awesome journey. My site supervisor, Samantha Whaley, that was her actual last name, and my faculty sponsor, Melinda Green, who all helped me through this experience so much. Thank you.